remarkable discovery 10,000 feet below the surface of Antarctica's Weddell Sea. Scientists have found the sunken wreck of polar explorer Ernest Shackleton's ship.
Astonishing discovery 2 miles below the surface in frigid Antarctic waters. It's a legendary sailing ship that sank 107 years ago.
107 years later, explorers uncovered a shipwreck frozen in time beneath the icy Antarctic waters. Announced in September 2025, the discovery provides fresh insight into one of history's most enduring survival stories. Using advanced three-dimensional scanning, researchers captured extraordinary details of the wreck, offering a rare glimpse into the past, one long sealed beneath ice and sea. Now, let's dive deeper into this incredible discovery and what it means. The original expedition. In 1914, famous explorer Ernest Shackleton led an ambitious journey to Antarctica. He was Anglo-Irish and already known for daring adventures. Shackleton's team had 26 men, all ready for a dangerous mission to cross the entire continent of Antarctica. They planned to leave on August 8, 1914, sailing through South Georgia Island and into the Weddell Sea. Their goal was huge, almost unimaginable at the time. This wasn't just about exploring. It was about testing human courage, teamwork, and survival in one of the coldest, harshest places on Earth. The Antarctic was far tougher than anyone expected. Temperatures often dropped below 76 degrees below zero. Thick sea ice trapped their ship. Endurance many times. The freezing water around them was dangerous. Falling in could mean death. On top of that, brutal winds and fierce snowstorms made every day a battle. During the long, dark winters, the sun disappeared for months. This made life even harder and tested the men's spirits. Despite these challenges, Shackleton and his crew never gave up. They worked together, fixing problems, sharing food, and keeping each other motivated. They built sledges and tents, and they stayed careful with their supplies. Every day was a fight to survive, but they faced it with determination and teamwork. This expedition became famous not just for the goal, but for the extreme conditions the men faced. Their journey and struggle in the frozen Antarctic set the stage for one of the greatest survival stories ever told. Even more than 100 years later, people are amazed by their courage and determination. But Antarctica had surprises waiting. The ice would soon test every ounce of their courage and determination. The Entrapment, just 2 days after leaving South Georgia, Shackleton and his crew ran into big trouble. Thick sea ice surrounded their ship, Endurance, and it slowed down almost completely. No matter how hard they tried, the ice began to lock the ship in place. The men quickly realized that this journey was going to be far more dangerous than they had imagined. By February 1915, a small patch of open water appeared ahead. The crew tried everything to free the ship. They cut through ice that was as much as 18 feet thick. Huge blocks of ice, each weighing nearly 20 tons, had to be removed by hand. It was back-breaking work in freezing temperatures. Despite their courage and hard work, the channel they made was too narrow. The ice quickly refroze, trapping the ship again. After days of exhausting effort, the men had no choice but to give up. Even though the situation was frightening, Shackleton and his crew stayed calm and worked together, knowing they had to survive. Weeks turned into months, and the Endurance became completely stuck. Ice surrounded the ship on all sides. Over time, the pressure from the frozen sea began to crush it. The hull creaked and groaned, and the timbers strained under the weight. Life on board became tense and scary, but the men supported each other. Every day was a test of patience, courage, and teamwork. The ship that had started as a brave vessel to cross Antarctica had become a prison in the ice. The crew faced one of the most dangerous situations imaginable, setting the stage for one of the greatest survival stories in history. As months passed, the ice grew stronger. Soon, their floating prison would face an even deadlier threat: the ship's destruction. Almost a year after the Endurance became trapped, Shackleton made a very hard decision. In October 1915, he told the crew to leave the ship. The ice had held the vessel for months, and it was clear it would not survive. The men packed what they could carry into lifeboats and sledges. They took only the most important supplies. Leaving the ship was sad and scary. The Endurance had been their home, their safe place, and a symbol of hope. But Shackleton knew that survival meant leaving it behind and finding a way to safety. Just a few weeks after the crew left, the Endurance began to break apart. The front masts fell under the heavy weight of the ice. The bow, or front of the ship, was crushed as the pressure grew. The stern, or back of the ship, lifted slowly out of the ice. Then, finally, the ship dropped into the cold Antarctic waters. The mighty vessel that had carried Shackleton and his men so far vanished beneath the waves, leaving only ice and snow in its place. Even though the ship was gone, the crew's courage and teamwork kept them alive. They faced freezing winds, dangerous ice, and months of uncertainty, yet they stayed determined. The sinking of the Endurance ended the ship's journey, but started a new chapter for the men. They were now on a fight for survival in one of the harshest places on Earth. Their story became legendary, a tale of courage, hope, and the power of people working together. Even after all those dangers, Shackleton and his crew would not give up. With their ship gone forever, the real adventure was just beginning. Could they survive the impossible journey ahead? The crew's survival journey. After leaving the Endurance, Shackleton and his men set up camp on the ice. They used whatever supplies they could salvage from the ship. There was no radio or way to communicate with the outside world. The ice floe they camped on drifted slowly for months. Every day was risky. The ice could break at any moment, and the men had to stay alert. Life on the floating ice was cold, lonely, and dangerous, but the crew worked together, keeping each other safe and trying to stay warm. When it became clear the ice could not hold them forever, Shackleton decided to take the lifeboats. They loaded the wooden boats with supplies and set out across freezing waters. Huge icebergs loomed around them, and massive waves tossed the boats violently. The men rowed, sometimes for hours at a time, with their fingers and toes numb from the cold. Every moment was a fight against the harsh sea. They had to stay strong and work together, because even one mistake could be deadly. After a long and dangerous journey, they finally reached solid ground at Elephant Island. It had been over a year since they first left the ship, but the island was uninhabited and isolated. There was no way to stay there for long. They could rest, but they could not survive on the island forever. Shackleton knew he had to find help. The men were exhausted, cold, and hungry, yet they had survived one of the most incredible journeys in history. Their teamwork, courage, and determination kept them alive, proving the strength of human spirit even in the toughest conditions. Reaching land was only the first step. The most dangerous rescue mission in history was about to begin. The rescue mission. Knowing his crew was stranded, Shackleton chose 5 men to make a daring rescue attempt. They set out in a small lifeboat, traveling about 800 miles across the open ocean. For 2 weeks, they battled extreme weather. Storms tossed their boat on waves as tall as buildings. Freezing winds and icy spray made every moment dangerous. Even in such terrible conditions, Shackleton and his men did not give up. Their courage and determination kept them going, row after row, through the rough seas. Finally, the lifeboat reached South Georgia Island, but not on the side where the whaling station was located. Shackleton and his men had to cross the island on foot. For 36 hours, they trekked over mountains, glaciers, and frozen terrain, tired and hungry. At last, they reached the whaling station and could call for help. This moment was crucial because now they had a way to rescue the men left behind on Elephant Island. Rescuing the remaining crew was not easy. Several attempts failed because of ice and storms. Finally, Shackleton obtained a tugboat. On Elephant Island, the men sent up a smoke signal, letting rescuers know where they were. After a tense wait, the tugboat arrived, and all 22 men still alive on the island were saved. Against impossible odds, the entire crew survived. Shackleton's leadership, courage, and persistence turned a terrifying ordeal into one of the most remarkable survival stories in history. The journey showed the strength of teamwork, hope, and the human spirit in the face of the harshest conditions on Earth. All 28 men survived against impossible odds, but their amazing ship would remain lost for over a century. Rediscovery of the Endurance. After more than 100 years, the Endurance was finally found. On March 5, 2022, the 100th anniversary of Shackleton's funeral, explorers located the ship on the seafloor of the Weddell Sea. It lay about 10,000 feet, or 3,008 meters, below the icy surface. The discovery made headlines all over the world. People were amazed that after so long, the ship that had carried Shackleton and his crew through such a legendary journey could be found in the frozen Antarctic waters. The moment was a celebration of exploration, history, and human endurance. Even after all those years, the Endurance was remarkably well preserved. The timbers looked almost new, and the basic structure of the ship was still intact. On the stern, the name Endurance was clearly visible, just as it had been more than a century ago. Marine life had begun to make the wreck its home. Sponges, sea anemones, sea lilies, and even starfish covered parts of the ship. Despite the harsh, freezing conditions of the deep sea, the vessel appeared as though it had been frozen in time. The rediscovery of the Endurance gives historians, scientists, and the public a rare glimpse into Shackleton's expedition. It allows researchers to study the ship's design, the challenges it faced, and the story of the crew in more detail than ever before. The ship's state of preservation is a testament to the cold Antarctic waters and the power of history to endure. Finding the ship was incredible, but how did it survive so perfectly after more than 100 years underwater? Why so well preserved? The Endurance survived for more than 100 years because of the way it was built. The ship was made to handle ice. Its joints and fittings were cross-braced, making it very strong. Thick planks of oak and Norwegian fir formed the hull. The whole ship was covered in greenheart, a wood that is extremely hard and strong. The bow, or front of the ship, was reinforced to face crushing ice. Every timber was carefully cut from a single oak tree and shaped to match the curve of the ship. This careful design allowed the Endurance to resist huge pressure and survive harsh conditions. The place where the ship sank also helped preserve it. The Endurance rests in deep, icy water, about 3 kilometers or 10,000 feet below the surface. The water is very cold all year round. The Antarctic seas do not have wood-eating organisms like shipworms that destroy wooden ships in warmer waters. Some marine animals, like sponges, sea anemones, sea lilies, and starfish, live on the ship. They attach to it, but do not eat the wood. The cold, deep water and lack of wood-eating creatures allowed the ship to stay in almost perfect condition. The combination of careful construction and a special environment turned the Endurance into a time capsule. Its strong materials resisted ice and pressure, while the deep, cold waters protected it from decay. After more than 100 years, the ship remains nearly as it was when it sank. Seeing it today gives people a rare glimpse of history, a reminder of the courage and skill of Shackleton and his crew, and the incredible story of survival frozen in time. The ship's perfect condition amazed everyone. Soon, cutting-edge technology would reveal secrets frozen in time for decades. 3D scanning project. At the end of 2024, explorers used advanced technology to study the Endurance in detail. They deployed underwater robots, called remotely operated submersibles, to reach the ship at the bottom of the Weddell Sea. These robots moved around the wreck, capturing thousands of photos from every angle. The images were then stitched together to create a digital twin of the ship. This digital model allows researchers and the public to see the Endurance exactly as it sits on the sea floor, without disturbing it. The technology gave an incredible close-up view of a ship that had been frozen in time for more than 100 years. The expedition was led by the Falklands Maritime Heritage Trust, or FMHT. They used the South African icebreaker Agulhas, too, to reach the wreck. Marine archaeologist Menson Bound and mission leader Dr. John Shears guided the team. The search and scanning took over 2 weeks. The team was able to work in unusually favorable conditions. That year, the Antarctic sea ice was at its lowest extent on record, allowing the icebreaker and robots to reach the site more easily. The project combined careful planning, skill, and cutting-edge technology to capture every detail of the ship. The 3D scanning project has opened new possibilities for studying the Endurance. Researchers can now examine the ship's construction, ice damage, and marine life colonization digitally. People around the world can explore the wreck online, experiencing history without leaving home. The project is a remarkable blend of history and technology. It allows us to preserve the story of Shackleton and his crew for future generations, showing how courage, craftsmanship, and the power of the human spirit can survive even in the harshest conditions on Earth. The digital twin captured every detail perfectly. But what does this mean for future explorers and historians worldwide? Future access and protection. The Endurance is now a protected monument under the Antarctic Treaty. This means no one can disturb the ship, and no physical artifacts have been removed. It is preserved exactly as it has been on the sea floor for more than 100 years. People can explore the wreck safely online through the 3D model created during the 2024 expedition. This digital version allows historians, researchers, and the public to study the ship in incredible detail without risking its fragile structure. Visiting the Endurance in person is almost impossible. Antarctica is extremely remote, and the location of the wreck is very difficult to reach. Even powerful icebreakers face dangers from thick sea ice, strong winds, and freezing temperatures. The ship's protected status also prevents close visits or diving. Only specially approved scientific teams may approach the site under strict regulations. Although the ship is safe for now, climate change may create new risks. As ice melts, the area could become more accessible, which might attract unwanted attention. Scientists and authorities have proposed stricter rules, including restricting cruise ships from the wreck area, to prevent accidental damage. For the general public, a visit to the Endurance is unlikely in the near future. Preserving the ship ensures that future generations can continue to study and learn from this historic vessel. The combination of remote location, legal protections, and careful monitoring helps keep the Endurance safe while letting the world appreciate its story. This approach balances preservation, research, and public education, allowing the legendary story of Shackleton and his crew to remain frozen in time, both in the icy waters of Antarctica and in our collective memory. The ship stays protected in its icy grave. Yet its discovery continues changing how we understand courage and survival. Historical significance. The story of the Endurance and Shackleton's expedition is one of the most famous survival stories in history. It shows extraordinary leadership, courage, and determination. Shackleton's ability to keep his crew safe through months of danger, freezing conditions, and uncertainty is still studied today. The expedition is a powerful example of human resilience. Even when the ship sank and the men faced impossible odds, they never gave up. Their story inspires people all over the world, reminding us that teamwork, hope, and persistence can overcome even the harshest conditions. The Endurance is also an incredible archaeological treasure. Marine archaeologist Menson Bound called it the finest wooden shipwreck ever seen. Lying upright and intact on the seafloor, the ship is a time capsule of early 20th century exploration. Many details are still visible, including Shackleton's cabin porthole. Personal items, such as boots and crockery, remain inside the wreck. These artifacts give researchers and historians a rare glimpse into life on the ship and the daily experiences of Shackleton and his crew. The combination of the human story and the archaeological discovery makes the Endurance extremely valuable. It allows people to study early Antarctic exploration in a way no books or photographs could fully capture. The wreck preserves not only the physical ship, but also the history of an extraordinary journey of survival. More than 100 years later, the Endurance continues to teach lessons about courage, innovation, and the power of teamwork. Its discovery preservation and study ensure that Shackleton's legendary expedition will remain an enduring symbol of human spirit and adventure for generations to come. The Endurance reminds us of human courage and the spirit of exploration. You can explore this incredible story in detail through the 3D digital model online. Dive into history, witness the ship frozen in time, and share the legacy of Shackleton and his crew with the world.